About your running back duo that you guys have been able to, I thought establish last year is kind of a nice, unique one-two punch.
I think we have a great running back room, to be honest with you. I think we have not only those two guys that you are thinking of, but I think we have 4 guys who want to win and know what it takes, and they've been working like it. And I think as a offensive line unit, we have all the confidence in the world in those guys to make us right and kind of put us in positions to be successful. So I think the way they've been attacking this offseason, I think those guys are going to open up some eyes and kind of shock the world a little bit.
How did Trevor impress you as a true freshman?
Yeah, I mean, y'all saw what he did. It wasn't really that hard to impress, but just kind of the way Trevor went about himself every day. He didn't really approach it like a true freshman. He approached it like he's been there before, and just like I said, his want to go out there and be great, his want to go out there and win, and what he's done to put himself in position to get on the field and show that he has what it takes to do that is what separates him, and is kind of what has made me notice his improvements throughout the offseason.
Do you guys want to be a run-heavy team?
I don't think we want to be specifically one-sided to anything, to be honest. I think Coach Napier is going to see what we have, see what we can do, and ultimately put us in position to be the best however we have to do that, and to win games however we have to do that, whether it's running the ball for 500 yards or throwing the ball for 500 yards. So, yeah.
Kingsley, how is Graham fitting into the offense?
The great thing about Graham is he's a little bit older, so he knows how to make guys like him. I think that might be the biggest thing that he's done that has kind of made guys kind of want to follow him in a sense. He includes everybody, and he's a smart guy. You can tell he's a smart guy. And like I said about the running backs, he's kind of the same way. Like, we're in the same lift group, and every day after our lift, I see him going upstairs, his notebook, going to pick coach's brain and kind of just get a deeper understanding of what the offense is and what he has to do to make this team successful. No, go ahead.
Kentucky's beating y'all 2 years in a row. How big of a game is that for y'all?
That's a huge game. It's a huge game every year, but especially since they've gotten the better of us the past 2 years, it means a lot, and it's away, so it would mean everything to go out there and beat them on their home turf.
The SEC has a lot of formidable opponents, whether you're hosting them at the Swamp or you're going over to their house.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about looking ahead of the Tennessee game. You guys were to see them in the Swamp, and looking back at the game that y'all had, what's going to be the energy going into the stadium in the Swamp?
We're going to be fired up for that one. We're fired up for every game, but we're going to be fired up for Tennessee. That's an in-conference game, SEC East battle. And, I mean, if you want to get to the championship, you got to go through Tennessee to do that. So, I mean, I think everybody's fired up just in general for the season and the opportunity to kind of go out there and prove all these naysayers wrong. But Tennessee, means a lot for real. Any SEC game means a lot, but that one definitely, we got that one marked on our books.
Anything that stands out about Tennessee that you're kind of most worried about or looking into the most when you look at them as a program?
I think they're a well-coached team. I wouldn't say there's anything necessarily to worry about, like not in a disrespectful fashion, but they're like any SEC team. They have talent. They have good coaches. They got powerful guys. But at the end of the day, if we execute, I don't think there's anybody in the country that can beat us if we execute how we're supposed to.
Kingsley, you say naysayers. What does that mean to you?
I mean, I would say it's mainly just everybody outside of our building who doesn't really know what we're doing and really know the work that we are putting in, kind of just putting this narrative out of who we're going to be this season, which is ridiculous in my opinion. But at the end of the day, outside noise can't dictate what you do on your everyday grind. And it's definitely fuel to the fire. Like, if anything, they're just helping us get better because guys want to prove them wrong. So that's what the naysayers are to me.
Is flying under the radar a little bit this week? I mean, Florida in the past, set a high standard.
Yeah.
Coming off a couple of kind of not as good seasons. I mean, is it to be expected, you think, flying under the radar a little bit?
I mean, I guess I can understand where it's coming from, but every year's a new year. Every team's a new team. So at the end of the day, the team that you might have thought was the best team last year could be the worst team this year, for all we know. And the team that was the worst last year could be the best this year. Who thought Tulane was going to be in a New Year's Six Bowl? Because I definitely did not. And then you saw what they did. You never know. So at the end of the day, like, I guess I can understand where the naysayers are coming from, but at the end of the day, like I said, if we keep putting in the work how we've been putting in the work, and everybody goes out there with the want to compete and the want to win, then at the end of the day, I don't think there's a team that can stop us.
What about year 2? What differences are you seeing in terms of just like the operation? Things just running a little more smoothly, people knowing where to be, what's expected?
Yeah, I think you get it on the head right there. Everything is running so much more smoothly because guys know where they're supposed to be, guys know how we're supposed to act, guys know what we're here for and what we're about. And I think some of the guys who might not have been in a position to speak up and say things last year, who have been around the team a little bit, kind of can do that now. And like something that we kind of preach on just amongst the team is just because he's a young guy doesn't mean he's not saying the right thing. So like everybody, whether it's Rod Kearney telling me I need to do this, or you know what I'm saying, me telling him he needs to do something, everybody needs to be willing to learn from each other and adapt so we can be a cohesive team and ultimately go out there and play for each other.
Is there anything specific that's being done in terms of prep and training for Utah and those elements, what you guys are expecting?
So like being out there, okay.
Altitude.
Yeah, there's nothing different that we're doing. We're approaching that game, I would assume, how we approach every other game. I don't think we're leaving any earlier than we would for a normal away game. At the end of the day, like I've said multiple times, it's going to be about us executing and going out there and competing. At the end of the day, like, the elements are the elements, but you have to be mentally strong enough to kind of push through those things and be able to just go and execute how we're supposed to execute, how you know you're supposed to execute.
But you saw that opposing line of scrimmage last year that Utah had. Did you feel like they were impacted by the elements and in very atypical surroundings for them?
If you want me to be real honest with you, I think they were affected by how we were getting after them, to be real. But I mean, I'm sure the heat played a little bit of a part in that, but we're not going into a hot situation where, you know what I'm saying? Like me personally, whenever it's cold, I think I play better because I'm just not hot, I'm not tired, all that extra stuff. But I mean, the altitude, I've never been over there, so I couldn't really say it's gonna affect us or whatnot, but we're just gonna go out there and stay mentally tough and hopefully we'll be okay.
You been in the mountains?
No, I've never been in the mountains.
You never been up in the mountains?
No, I've never been up in the mountains.
All right. It's a nice setting out there. You'll like it.
No, I've looked up the stadium. It definitely is a cool background for sure.
Kingsley, what did you see from Keontae this spring after he transferred?
Keontae, you know, he's definitely a guy that needed to learn a couple of things to kind of put himself in position to be successful. But I mean, really, we have great coaches, so I think if he just buys into what our coaches are telling him to do every day, he's going to get better. I saw him progressively improve day after day. It's just a matter of, are you going to take the coaching or not? And I think if he takes the coaching, he can be everything he sets out to be.
What do you think? There was a lot of talk about him dedicating in the weight room with his body. Did you see him put in that work when he got there?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, he didn't really have an option to put in to do that or not. Our nutritionists were on top of him. They made all his meals for him and whatnot. And I mean, even if you're not necessarily doing the extra stuff, just doing the program that they put in place for you is going to help you cut weight or do whatever he may have had to do.
What do you tell transfers about coming into the SEC and kind of the level of play that this conference has?
I really just tell them you have to be prepared, like mentally tough. You're playing first rounders nearly every week. You know what I'm saying? You're playing the best of the best, specifically at my position, offensive line. You see the best of the best D linemen literally every week. So I just tell them you have to stay mentally tough. You have to armor your body in the off season by lifting weights, lifting heavy weights, not just lifting weights. But ultimately, I just tell them that they need to be mentally prepared to battle, because it's a battle and nobody's going to give you anything in this league.
Any tips for Graham and his coming in at that position?
Graham, I think it's different at quarterback because it's not as much of a physical game in this league as it is mental. But Graham's, like I said, Graham's a little bit older, so he kind of has already established kind of a schedule and how he does things. So it's not really as much telling Graham what's different. It's kind of just, in my opinion, letting him adapt to this new offense and learn this new offense. So he's not thinking about every decision he has to make, and things just kind of roll off in a sense.
Did players talk about that Jaden Rashada situation at all, and just that rumored $13 million contract? What was the locker room like during that month?
So when the Jaden Rashada stuff was happening, like, we keep over recruiting a little bit, but like everybody was seeing all the reports and stuff, and everybody was like, "Dang, he's getting that much?" You know how it goes, but nobody was really overly worried about it because worrying about somebody else's pockets, if anything, doesn't do anything for you. And we really only talked about it for like a day, like when it happened, like when he said he wouldn't come here. Everybody was like, "Oh dang, we thought he was coming here," this, that, and another, but it wasn't no like deep conversations about it or carrying on conversation about it.
Do you guys believe it? Like reporters saw the contract. I think they signed like NDAs. They can,
talk about it.
But they saw it. So if that's legit, what does that mean if a high school kid is getting 13 mil over 4 seasons? Like, do you guys buy that and believe it?
I believe it, I guess, but at the end of the day, reporters can report anything they want for real. So like, it was really up in the air. But if he did, and the coaches felt like they had to give him that to come to the school, then it is what it is. Like I'm not worried about anybody else's pockets because like it doesn't do anything for me. Sure. He's not gonna give me any of that. So.
Kingsley, since the season ended,
Uh-huh.
what are some things you've seen around the program that gives you confidence to think year 2 under Coach Napier might be better than year 1?
Okay, so I did an interview the other day, and somebody asked me nearly that same question. And I would say the biggest difference that I've seen is I usually get late night workout sessions in. So like we'll do our mandatory stuff, whatever. I'll go home for a couple hours, and then I'll return at like 10 p.m. or whatever and get another session in. And one thing that I noticed that I haven't noticed the past 4 years I've been here, because I've been doing that my whole time here, is the amount of more guys that are in the weight room and at late at night like that. You don't got to be doing that. You feel me? You can be with your girl. You can be doing this, that, and another. Go get some dinner. But those guys choose to go get that extra work in and get better. So I think that's probably the main difference that I've seen.
What does that tell you about, is it guys being bought in more? Is it, hey, we don't want your team to be like you? Like, what does that tell you about your teammates and where they're at going into this thing?
I think it's a want to compete and a want to be good. Like, nobody likes losing. Like, y'all don't like losing either, I'm sure. Like, nobody wants to lose. I think everybody knows what it takes to win. You can't just do the required work. If you want to win and you want to be the best, you have to do the extra work. And I think also having guys like myself who do the extra work and set the standard, and maybe you're not leading vocally all the time, but you're showing guys what it takes to do what you need to do. I think that has motivated a lot of guys, and we get after each other a little bit in the locker room, and I think that also plays a part in it. Guys want to prove each other right and prove each other wrong and whatnot, and everybody knows that we're dependent on everybody in that building to be successful this year. So I feel like that's probably the biggest thing that brings those guys in there.
Kingsley, first of all, great to see that someone else loves the late night lifting session.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you about the UGA rivalry. I mean, how much does that mean to you as a Florida player?
Yeah, man. Our rivalry games mean everything. Like, I don't really take that game approach that game any different than I approach other games. At the end of the day, you have to perform week in and week out. But I mean, y'all know what they are right now and what we're trying to get to. So that rivalry since I've been here has meant everything. Seriously, that one and FSU, like those games are huge games, and you kind of can feel that within the week when we go through our routine, our weekly routine, and kind of just seeing everybody's energy just flying around and whatnot.
Yeah, continuing on that, I know the Jacksonville status is a little bit up in the air going further, and you may not be on the team at that point, but I mean, how much would it mean for you to be able to play against that team in the Swamp?
Yeah, that would be really cool to have a home game there and a home game at Georgia and whatnot. But I mean, I'm from Jacksonville, so like playing in Jacksonville is also, I love playing in Jacksonville. Like, I get a buzz going through my body every time we're driving over the bridge to the stadium. But I mean, playing home and home would be cool too. Like, I think they could go home Jacksonville or something like that. Like, I think anywhere. But like, that game means so much. So I think if you just put the ball down, line it up in the parking lot, everybody's gonna be ready to go.
Thank you.
Hey, a lot of fans out there, college football fans, are saying the game is ruined with NIL and all. And I mean, everybody wants to make money and all, but how many of your teammates, and you mentioned that about Rashada and all, would be there with or without it and all? And thinking about, you work your ass off, graduate, you come back, the connections, the relationships, what are those worth? But you got to love the game of football more than anything.
Yeah, so that actually kind of played a part in me not going anywhere, even though that thought never really crossed my mind to leave UF. But if I left for X amount of money more or less, however it may have gone, what is that really doing for me? Like, I've already put in this work for 4 years at the University of Florida, and now if I leave, I'm leaving off on that note. Like, but I think that's another thing I have a problem with, like, every day kind of saying is, like, I kind of question some of the guys, not necessarily the guys on my team, but I just question, like, are you really a Gator? Like, are you really here because you want to be a Gator? Or are you here because they gave you this much money? And like me, I committed here, and NIL wasn't even a thing. The transfer portal wasn't even a thing when I got to college. So, you know, I think NIL definitely, there's obviously some guys across the country who might be going to schools because of the amount of money they can get. But, I mean, it's kind of hard to say. I personally don't think that's the right reason to go to a school, especially when everybody's paying NIL. Like, it's a common thing across all schools. So I think guys committing to schools because of money is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. But